StraightallDay.com.
So years ago, actually did an episode on my podcast, what I call masterclass, y'all call podcast, years ago, talking about I can't. This is an infectious disease. It's a deadly disease. It actually destroys a lot of lives and destroys a lot of opportunity before it even can come to fruition, because people have all these toxic beliefs, false beliefs, but beliefs nonetheless, about what you can't do, what can't happen, what you are not capable of. And there are many different angles from which this can be come at, but I recall not too long ago, actually I've heard this many times, there's a speaker, just older guy by the name of Dan Kennedy, who's pretty much retired these days, but he came up with this whole concept that he called the phenomenon. And one of the things that he talks about with it, and phenomenon in short means, or what he's talking about, is a formula for basically 10 times the success in your life in a short period of time than what you had created in the previous, let's say, 10% of that time, in 10% of the time that had passed before. So in other words, how to create more success in 1 year than you did the previous 10 years. So basically 10xing your success in a shorter period of time, or in the same period of time. And one of the things that he talks about with it, he has a whole program around this concept, by the way, so I'm just taking a piece out of it. But one of the things he talks about with this is how you need to put more inputs into the, kind of put more powder into your cannon, more bullets in the chamber of your shotgun. And one of the reasons that a lot of people aren't able to do this is because a lot of people have a lot of false ideas about what they can't do. So, and I've heard many other people talk about this in business. For example, someone will say that they run a lot of ads and they're making a lot of money out there advertising. They'll say, don't run 10 ads, run 100 ads. Or don't create 5 new ads that you could possibly run next week. Create 50 new ads that you can run next week. And the challenge for a lot of people is not that they don't understand the concept, is that many people will hear that and they'll say, well, I can't create 100 ads, I can only create 10. I only have time to make 10. Or I don't have time to make 50 new ad spots, I do have time to make 5, however. And that belief right there about what you can't do is what holds a lot of people back, because they look at things and say, well, I don't even think it's possible for me to achieve that outcome. First of all, they think about the resources that they don't have, that they think they would need to do it. So they say, I can't do it because I don't have the resources. Then, bigger than that, more important, is the belief in their heads that they don't even see themselves as ever possibly getting to a certain level. Which means any resource that they think they don't have, or they think they can't acquire, or that they literally don't have, any one of them is a fair enough excuse to support a belief that they already have in their head. So if you have a belief in your head that you can't do something, then any logical justification of that belief will suffice, because all of them they leave you in the same spot of a confirmation of something that you already have decided that you believe. See, if you believe something, it doesn't matter what logical justification you come up with. You don't even have to have a logical justification. You'll just come up with more and more excuses. Any of you who works in sales, you know this. You talk to a prospect who is of the belief in their head that they can't buy something, or they can't have something, or they don't think something's going to work for them, and they give you an excuse as to why they're not going to do it. Instead of just saying that they don't think it's going to work, most people are not going to say that. What they'll do instead is come up with some logical justification, and no matter how many of their logical justifications you knock down, they'll just come up with another excuse, another one. They'll just keep coming up with more and more excuses. Why? Because any excuse will suffice once a person has decided a certain thing is a certain way. Whether they're telling the truth, actually it's not even about it being the truth. Whether they are accurate or not doesn't matter, because they've already decided, hey, this can't work for me. So any excuse they come up with, they'll be all right with. The point for you is that if you want to remove the lid from your potential and from your success, you must remove any beliefs about what you can't do, what you think is impossible, what you are limited to, or what you will never have access to or will never be able to do. Interestingly enough, if you talk to enough people, and if you work in sales, depending on what you're selling, you may have a lot of conversations with a lot of people. And it doesn't even matter what you sell. You can sell garage doors, you can be a cleaner of swimming pools, you can sell vacation packages, cars, iPads, doesn't even matter. When you talk to enough people, you will come to find out that the main thing that holds most people back from doing anything not currently doing is not that they are not capable of doing it. It's not that they couldn't get access to the skill to do it. And it's not that they are, lacking any type of intellect or physical ability or any of that shit that people usually come up with as a justification. Main thing is, most people simply do not see themselves as ever being able to do a certain thing. So they come up with a whole bunch of good sounding rationalizations for why they keep thinking that way. Good news is, there's bad news and good news. The good news is you can overcome this type of thinking very easily. You can do it from wherever. Now, you don't need any money. You don't need access to anybody. You don't need to have any specialized knowledge. You can overcome this just by changing the way that you think. Now, that may be a task, but you don't need any special tools to do this. The special tools will help you do it faster and make sure it works. But it can be done by changing the thinking of any human being. Bad news is, same as the good news, is that this is done by changing your thinking, and the hardest thing for most human beings to change is their way of thinking, because you can't see it, you can't count it, you can't measure it, and most people have absolutely no idea how the mind actually works and how the subconscious mind is in control of most of your thoughts, not your conscious thinking. And this is the reason why most people can never change their thinking. This is the reason why most people will just cycle through different excuses over the course of their entire lives, because their mindset never changes, even though their tangible situation always does. All that being said, everybody, you want some help with this, just get into my Bulletproof Mindset program. It's inside of Work On Your Game University. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link's in the bio. Work on your game. Dre all day.